Alright, hey guys, it's Faisey. Before the video starts, I do want to say I did end up making the Jersey Club drum kit. So as soon as the second video hits 50 likes, I will link it in the description. As soon as that hits 50 likes, I will drop this drum kit for you guys. There's a free version and there's a paid version. I do have the video ready for release, so whenever it hits 50 likes, I will drop it. I did make a Discord server, so if you want to join the Discord server, you can join the Discord server in the description. I will be leaking like some plugins, some sauce, whatever you want. So if you want to learn something, join a server, interact with other people. It's more like a community more than like a music server, but it is prioritized around music. But you can still come and make friends even if you don't make music and you just enjoy music. There's places for artists, and I'm planning on putting like all different types of hobbies in there. So make sure you guys join a server and let's get into the video. 4 things you're going to want to know is what the arrangement is, the piano roll, and a channel rack. Last thing you're going to want to know is the mixer. This right here is your arrangement. This is where you're gonna put all your instruments and like all your loops, all your drums, anything that you want to put. You have to put it on here, or else you're not gonna be able to like render out the song. So basically, this is where everything goes when you're done. Right here is the piano roll. As you can see, this is where you're gonna make all your melodies. And some people like to do their drums inside the piano roll. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. Going right here, we have the channel rack. This is where you're gonna put all your instruments. Lastly, we have the mixer. Now about the mixer, it's basically the volume to your volume, or like how you're gonna level other instruments. Now I'm gonna show you guys an example of what the mixer actually does. Over here is where you keep all your drum kits, all your patches, whatever you have. If you don't know how to get your drum kits, I will link a video in the description that'll help you put all your drum kits like how I have it, instead of putting it in your packs folder. So you're gonna want to drag anything in. Just to show you an example, double clicking on it will open up the actual instrument. You can play it down here. You have all these other options. You can go in here if you want to turn it up some, or EQ it if you don't want to like bring in another plugin. Here are some of the options you're going to want to know. When you're using 808s, sometimes you leave it on resample, sometimes you leave it on stretch. What stretch does is basically it puts it in its original time. You're going to reset it right here every time, and then you press this little gear. And now you can pretty much right click anything on the piano roll and it'll change the pitch of it. As you can see, the 808 sounds kind of muddy, so what you're going to want to do is, if you're actually using 808s, you're not going to want to drag it in like that. When you're using an 808, you're going to want to drag it in to the channel rack like this. Now as you can see, there's another option right here. You're going to turn on the envelope and copy these settings. As you can see, the 808s are not overlapping anymore. Now I will show you how you can actually like place notes down. So if you're doing a regular 808 pattern, this is how it would look like. As you can see, now if you did not do that and you had the envelope off, it would sound like this. See how it's like kind of muddy? You don't want that. It like cuts off as soon as the note is finished. Now you know how to place notes down. Now you know how to mess with 808s. What you're gonna want to know how to do now is bring in samples. So you could do it this way, going into your file explorer and just dragging anything on, and boom, there you go, your samples right there. You can also do what I showed you before. You have the same options, except you don't have the little thing now. The only way you have it is if you drag it in from here and it becomes like actual instrument, but you wouldn't want that for samples anyway. Leaving it on resample, I'll show you what it does. This is going to be off for you, stretch right here, but what you're going to do is turn it on, and let's say this is too slow for you. You could basically drag the edges. Now you see how it's like very high pitched. Some people don't want that, so what you're going to do is put it on stretched. It keeps the same time, but it changes the pitch. But for this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how you can actually do this for Jersey Club. So I'm going to leave it on resample because it kind of sounds better when the pitch is high. Before we get into any of that, I'm going to show you guys what you can do with the mixer. So I'm going to bring in like a basic clap just to show you. So now we're gonna go to this clap right here. If you turn this volume down, this volume will also go down because they're the same thing. If you want to do it individually, you will click the top and you put make unique. You can turn this one up. As you can see, it's right here now. This one's low and that one's high. The thing about the mixer board is, let's say you want all your claps on, let's say number 10. Now as you can see, number 10 is highlighted. This is where all your claps are. You can rename it, put claps if you want. One is still louder than the other, but what the mixer does is it's basically the level of the level. So if you just think that the claps are just too loud entirely, but you like how this one is lower and this one is higher, you basically turn this down. It still keeps the low one and the high one, but it's just overall down in general, and you don't have to turn every single instrument down. Say for instance you had this clap right here. Let me just use the 808 instead. Yeah, the 808 right here. You know, you don't have to turn this one down, the 808, in order to turn that down. That's what the mixer is for. Now another cool trick for the mixer is, it's where you're gonna put all your effects basically. Now if you're new, you're probably not gonna have too many effects, but one effect I will show you is reverb, because that's what a lot of people like to use. So go to the right of the mixer, you have 10 slots and you click on any of them and you put whatever you want. I have a bunch of plugins, so if you want, go search up plugins that you want, like search up best plugins. But most people, well, everybody's gonna have Fruity Reverb because it's FL. It gives you it automatically. So now when you listen to it, if you turn the wetness up, you'll hear a difference. Now if I turn it off, turning it on. Another cool plugin people use is delay. There's like 3 different delays. I use delay 3, but sometimes I use delay bank. It really depends on what you like better. You can mess around with the settings, find whatever you like. This basically makes it not so strong, and sometimes I like to mess with this one as well if it's really too strong. But it really depends on what you're going for and what kind of style you're making. You basically have a general idea of the arrangement, the piano roll, channel rack, and the mixer. This is the master. This basically controls all your instruments at once. So if you turn this all the way down, every single instrument will be muted. It controls all the instruments. Now I'm going to show you a quick example of how to actually get instruments into FL Studio. So for me, my project file starts with a sampler. For you, it'll probably be 808s or whatever. It's still the same process. You're going to right click sampler, or if it's 808 for you, you just right click it, put replace. And I don't know if, well, FL will have FL keys basically. So you can use FL keys if I can find it. Alright, FL keys down here. So this is basically a piano. As you get more into music production, you're gonna get other pianos, but this is just an example, so I can use anything. So basically what you're gonna want to do is bring in any notes that you want. Everybody's first beat is probably not gonna be in tune or whatever, but I'll just show you a simple chord. Basically, you just click anywhere, make music. Now, a helpful tip is, and some FLs is going to be different because some people don't have it updated, but in the most recent FL, you go to view and you go to scale highlighting, and I have it on automatic because like I kind of have a general idea of like where to start. But say you want to be in C major, if you know anything, that chord I just did, the C major chord, so you follow the lighter shades, not the darker shades, because the darker shades are not in key. As you can see, that doesn't sound too bad. Now if you were to go to the darker notes, it still works, but it's not as good as it could be. You know, sometimes you would want to follow the scale highlighting of whatever you're going for. See, this doesn't sound good because I went in the gray, and as well, when there's double shades, you probably want to go for the top, Sometimes the bottom one works, but you probably want to always go for the top one when there's double. It still doesn't work because of the gray one right here. But if you put on the lighter shade, it sounds better. So basically, just follow the scale highlighting of whichever you want, and you'll be able to make something good. Because I see a lot of people, they don't really know music theory or anything. I started off not knowing music theory, but I just used the scale highlighting, so my beats were never like wonky, like you know, it was never like that or anything. As you see, that doesn't sound too good, but you know, use scale highlighting, you will be able to make good beats no matter what, as long as you follow the scale. Over time, you're gonna learn what's good and what's not good, but as long as you follow the scale highlighting, you will be able to make something that sounds good and good to the ear. Alright, now we're gonna get to the Jersey Club section of the video. So I'm gonna import this sample that I showed you guys earlier because I really like it. I don't know if I'll be able to use it. Some samples don't end up being that well, but you know, it is what it is. Now, in order to actually chop the sample, instead of using the little razor tool, I like to just turn off stretch and then grab it by the edges and make it perfect for the start. But you could like just use the razor if it's like in the middle and you don't want to like trim the start. This mutes it. You don't really need that. You would probably just delete it. Instead of pressing this, you would just right click with the pencil. The paintbrush basically just makes it quicker to like paste things. Like let's say this, you can just drag and go, but you can't really drag with the pencil. So this right here, what you're gonna use to select everything, or you can do Control A if you want to just move everything. Magnifying glass, you don't really ever need that. And this is to highlight like a specific point of the song. So like, but you probably don't really use that. You're really only gonna use the pencil, paintbrush, and the select tool, and possibly the razor. I never use this right here, so I don't really know what it is. Like me myself, I don't know some stuff on FL because you really don't need them. I don't know, I guess it's just to move it around. Yeah, it's just to move it around if you want to start at a certain point. You don't really need that. This right here basically is the snap to the grid. As you can see right now, mine was on none, so I could basically move this around freely and it won't snap. It just stops anywhere. As you can see on these lines, if you want it to snap somewhere, you're going to put it to line. Now when you move it, it's not like it just goes anywhere. It stops at an actual point in the arrangement. This is how you're going to want to stay in time. If you're new and you don't really know time, you're just starting out, there's always a metronome. There's this button right here. I really didn't use this because it's not that hard to really stay in time. If you listen to music enough, you're gonna know. Just stay within the 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll know if it looks off. Now I'm gonna take this sample and I'm gonna stretch it down some. Obviously, it sounds kind of weird because you probably wouldn't use a sample when you're making Jersey Club, but it's just a tutorial, so I'm just going to show you the basics. If you want an actual tutorial and you're not a beginner, go to my first video and my second video on the channel. They're going to be also an end screen at the end of this video, but this is just the basics. So what I'm going to do is I'll take like a kick, and same process. You can use the piano roll or you could do it without the piano roll. I recommend with the piano roll because like, why would you not do it with the piano roll? The other way looks kind of weird, I'm just saying. Or you could do it like physically right here. I like to do it right here when you're like using EDM, but regular beats you could just do it in here, you know. Right here is their kick. You put at different times, you know. Right. That's the basic Jersey Club. kick pattern right there. Now when you're gonna want to make a new pattern, you just press plus. But what I like to do is just, if you can't see your kicks, you gotta press audio and then go to unsorted, because that's where all your instruments are. Audio right here is just like your samples and stuff. Unsorted is like where all your instruments are. So if you want to drag in a pattern, you could click and just press your pencil here, or if it was right here, you just go to your pen roll right here and just drag in the pattern. It works either way. There's a lot of ways to do things twice in FL Studio. See how it's in time? I don't really have to do much. All I have to do is make sure that the sample lined up with the grid. It ended at the perfect point. As you can see, it starts at the perfect point right here, and it ends at the perfect point, and it creates a perfect loop. So and again, if I wanted to go ahead, put some reverb on it, I'll put it on whatever track I want. Go to slot 1, reverb, turn it up some, well, all the way, because I don't care. Don't be afraid to experiment with plugins, whatever is your style is your style, don't care about what people say. Your music is your music. Now you're probably like, okay, how do I turn down the volume of the kicks? So when you go into your channel rack, you're gonna want to give your kicks like a certain one and your claps a certain one. So I put my kicks on 10, my claps on 11. So basically, if I go to 10 now, when I turn the volume down, the kicks go down as well. You can also turn the volume down right here with this knob, but that's more like if you have multiple instruments in the same track. If you're only gonna have one instrument in track 10, then you don't need to turn it down right here, unless you're like probably working with multiple instruments. Right here where it says 140 is basically the speed of your track. You turn it down, it gets really slow. Turn it up, it gets really fast, obviously. Right here is basically how like things are gonna transfer. That's how I look at it, kinda. So if I put on smooth, this is how it's gonna start. So it doesn't like really, it starts with like a little fade in the beginning, and it's just different options, but this doesn't really matter unless you like hear something and you don't like it and you want to like fade it out, kind of. Now another way to do this is to click on the top, go to automate, and go to volume right here. As you can tell, the song didn't really start till like the middle. It was going, but the volume was really low. Move in the middle basically changes that. Right click anywhere you want to make a second kind of like circle, and last thing you're going to know is probably panning. If I put it all the way to the left, it'll be in my left headphone. If you're on phone, you're probably not going to hear it, but all the way to the right. Stretch is basically your best friend in this genre, because you're going to want to stretch things out and make it loop perfectly. That's how you want to stay in time. As you can see, you can really look at waveforms and see when like the beat probably hits. Like right here, you can see it gets bigger, so that's how you know like you're in time. Right here it gets bigger, so just look 1 2 3. As long as you see like a big spot right here, this is like a clue. It's not for every song, but as long as you see a big spot right here, you're most likely in time. Just use your ears. Your ears are your best friend. This is just a basic understanding of FL and how you would go about making a Jersey Club track. It works with any track, by the way, so if you're not going for Jersey Club, it still works,